I need to ask you a question. Be curious, Drifters.
Elleegant's won the Brisbane Cup, but it's all Antino. Blake Shin, take a bow. Barraquil, Benny Allen hasn't moved.
Broadside him, bogged, won the Golden Rose.
Pride of Jenny, trying to find the reserves at the 100. She's 3 in front of Mr. Brightside. It's all too late. Pride of Jenny has run them into the night. Switzerland, the big winner by 2.5 Bellatrix Star.
He's down, Jolly Star. She is a star in the making. Jolly Star bolts in.
It's all Isthmus. She's very smart and fast.
Drifters running solo again in the studio because my good friend, my co-host, Declan Jones, he's calling in from Sydney Airport, no less. Is that right?
No, not from the airport. Calling in from the hotel room. But it'll be a relatively swift podcast, Drifters, because once this is wrapped up, we'll have to make tracks to fly back to Brisbane. It's just what I do, you know. Just quick hit and run missions to the southern states to watch the best horses go around. And then I just fly back to Brizzy because Brizzy's the best city on earth, you know.
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
Yeah, mate. And I tell you what, when you come back, you may as well throw your passport out because it's an absolute shredder today. It is fantastic. It's really good stuff.
Oh, mate, I'm excited. I'm excited for the incoming sort of autumn into winter time in Brisbane. And you know what winter time in Brisbane means? Stradbroke season.
Stradbroke season, bruh.
One of the greatest races of all time.
Of course it is. It's the best sprinting handicap in Australia. It's not the Newmarket handicap.
No.
You can have that dross. You can
you can have that dross. Absolute dross.
Give me the Stradbroke any day. Now.
Absolutely.
You were at Randwick yesterday. So
I was.
We may as well cover off Randwick first. You were I don't know when it was because I was I think I was out at the time, but you were texting me about some sort of mounting yard and how they look sensational. Which race was that for?
Man, that was the Surround Stakes. Like, I was just looking at all the fillies individually, and they all looked absolutely fantastic. And I was like, you know what? Credit to the trainers for getting them all here in tip-top condition. Like, I don't know if all of them were at the peak of their powers heading into that race, but I tell you what, they all look phenomenal in the yard at the very least. Like Powers of Opal, very good looking filly. Lazura, very good looking filly. I was very impressed with the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they can look good, but can they run fast? That's the main thing. It's like
yeah, exactly. Like he's Brad Pitt, an Olympic sprinter.
No, he's
you know
not.
I mean?
But he's
He's
an Olympic grade like actor though. So it's like what I mean. That's what he's actually paid for.
That is true.
So, but I was just looking at because I had a bit of spare time last night, so I was actually looking at the times like I used to.
Yep.
You know, actually bring some insight into these review podcasts. Mate, so Lady Shenandoah and Lady Camelot and the rest of those Surround Stakes fillies, they would have beaten the Amelia's Jewel race by 17.5 lengths.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and to the 600, they would have only been half a length in front of them. So, no. They would have been 17 lengths in front of them. So they've actually only gone home. They would have been 18 lengths in front of them, and they only went home half a length slower in the final 600. So pretty incredible stuff. I've butchered that. They would have gone home. They went home half a second. Fucking hell! Can you tell I haven't done this for a while? They would have.
Oh my god!
They would have gone home 4 lengths slower than the Amelia's Jewel race. So.
Oh, but Amelia's Jewel was entitled to sprint home quickly after that fastly run race.
Yeah.
Mate, but you could sort of tell, like, in the Surround Stakes how quick they were going. So, you know, Lady of Camelot wasn't even leading. Typically she would. But for her, like, I didn't give her enough credit. She I tell you what, that was one tough run by Lady of Camelot. I did not think she'd get 1,400 metres at all. But yeah, Lady Shenandoah, just J-Mac got her in the perfect place and came a ding-dong battle. But yeah, it was close to the track record, wasn't it?
Unsure, because I was out at the time, but the first 4 fillies out were the first 4 home. Lilac was the one setting the pace with Lady of Camelot on her tail, and then Lazura and Lady Shenandoah were next in line. So the first 4 home have run super, like really, really well. So full credit to them. I think what the thing that was on Lady of Camelot's side over Lady Shenandoah was she was third up as well. So she had that fitness run in January for the Magic Millions, whereas Lady Shenandoah, with how many times have we seen it over the last 12 months? A bit of second up syndrome, but she was backed into Winx-like odds, $1.30, but on the times and on the scoreboard, really, 17.5 lengths quicker than Amelia's Jewel. They only went home 3.5 lengths slower for the last 600 metres. So, yeah, I think those first 4 fillies home, in particular Lady of Camelot and Lady Shenandoah, have run super.
Yep, they've gone super. And so from here then, like, Lady of Camelot, does she go back to sprinting trips? And then does Lady Shenandoah go to like a Donny with a light weight? Like, is she a 1,600 metre horse, do you reckon, Lady Shenandoah?
Yeah. Well, what's her? So she's a Schnitzel filly out of Star Pupil. I don't know many of the Star Pupils, but I think I could see her measuring up at the mile, I reckon. Or do you reckon Chris Waller's got her earmarked as like more of his sprinting type in the spring versus like a Aliana who's going to be his miler 2,000 metre horse?
Yeah. I just thought she was so impressive first up over 1,200 metres. But yeah, we've seen these Waller horses absolutely flying fresh over the sprint trips, and then they're flattening out a little bit second up. But yeah, look, she's a really smart filly. Lady of Camelot, very brave. And, you know, like you said, the top 4 are probably the ones you want to take out of it. Because, yeah, if they're going that quickly and none of the back markers could swoop, then maybe they'll just run off their feet.
Yeah. The race for her, Lady Shenandoah, will be the Coolmore Classic. 1,500 metres.
Oh, yeah.
That will be the race for her. So looking at that market, she's $3. Amelia's Jewel's $3.40. Aliana, Lady of Camelot, 9s. Miss Robini at 11s with Steffi Magnetica. So, you know, with all due respect, that's a thin field. So I'd say she'll be heading there next.
Yeah, not a bad shout.
Now, how did Via Sistina, Fangirl, my guy Linda Mann look in the yard for the Verry Elleegant?
All pretty good. I think Fangirl was the best, I reckon, from what I could see. Via Sistina still has, like, she's still got some tightening up to do, as they say. So I thought Fangirl looked the best. And, yeah, look, Linda Mann, son of Lonro, he looked pretty good. He ran well. Again, though, like, one of those races where you sort of watch it and you think to yourself, oh, yeah, VS15 has just got home, and then J-Mac's on, and you're sort of not really thinking about it, but, man, he rode her an absolute peach. Like, she drew the widest barrier when She-Wolf was scratched. So he rode her an absolute peach to get her home. She's still got plenty of improvement to come. I thought Fangirl was good again. She was just behind VS15 in the run, so came a bit of a sprint home. And Linda Mann ran well.
200 from home, I thought I was a genius.
Yeah, I thought you were too.
But
you know who else ran super? Faulkner Park.
Yeah, he did. He ran okay. Like, probably better than okay. I think they've just learned their lesson there. Good tracks, Sydney leg.
Yep. Absolutely.
He could absolutely go back to back in the Q22.
He absolutely could.
Yeah.
I would not be shocked at all. Yeah, what are your thoughts? Like, you know, that first three home, Waller trifecta.
Yeah.
Same as the Apollo a couple of weeks ago. Like, is it just, okay, cool, move on?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I kind of, you know, a bit of the oxygen went out of the room when Cheerwolf was scratched. So, you know, where's he at for the rest of the prep? If he's, you know, half a run behind at this level, you probably can't afford to be. So we're probably not going to see the best of him this autumn. He's probably not a betting proposition for me moving forward until I see him do it.
Do you reckon we could get on the phone to Uncle Jack Pride and say, hey, look, why don't you just spell him for a little bit? Give him a freshen up. Bring him up to Queensland. Get some Queensland winter sun on his back. Doomben Cup, Q22. Another short freshen up, and then he can go for a Cox Plate. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, why isn't he ready? Because they pulled the pin on his.
True.
They pulled the pin on his spring campaign early. So what's happened? Unless he's had like some sort of setback, but I haven't heard anything of the sort. It's like I thought we were supposed to be ready to go this autumn. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
So,
but Joe Pike's got this in him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got this in him. Oh, I don't know. With all due respect to Joe, like he's trained some phenomenal horses. I just think that a horse like Cheerwolf, you know, to get that consistency prep after prep after prep, like I don't know if I'd say Joe Pride is. I feel like his horses can mix their form a lot from prep to prep, like Private Eye, for example. Mixed his form a lot prep to prep. I don't know. I'm probably being really a bit harsh on Joe there, but it was disappointing to see him scratched.
Like, you basically know that if Chris Waller's got a 3-year-old filly in his stable, or you basically know exactly what program Chris Waller's going to put his elite horses through. You know what I mean? Whereas Joe, he could start Private Eye and Lightning like he did last year, or he could start him in a new market. It's like, I have no idea where he could start his horses in a preparation. It's honestly, I reckon he just like wakes up out of bed sometimes. He goes like, you know what, this is a good idea. Whereas Chris Waller is just like, he would have the next 12 months mapped out for his elite horses. Easy.
Yeah.
And he has plans A, plan B, plan C. Whereas Joe I feel like he has one plan.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I see what you mean. Yeah. I don't know. Like, does he change what he does for his elite horses from like a prep perspective, not necessarily the actual races that they're going to, but from the actual work that they're doing in training? Does that make sense?
Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Like, that's for Joe to kind of figure out. But I think he's I think Joe just has a case of, like, pardon the pun, think about it, because he just like, I think he just overthinks it sometimes. Whereas Chris Waller, he's got the tried and true. Like, you can pretty much trust exactly where he's going to put his horses.
Yep, for sure.
Now, we'll get to the Group 1 in Melbourne in due course, but I think there's some other racing that is far more interesting. The 2-year-old racing. Now.
Oh, yeah.
Now, raw times, right? Within I promise I won't butcher this one. On raw times, maybe I will butcher it. But on raw times, Within the Law would have beaten Rivellino by, I reckon, just under 6 lengths.
Right.
So those fillies have absolutely brained the boys there.
Yep.
Now, Within the Law as well, this was 2 races later, but so track conditions, what have you, but they've pretty much only gone less than a length slower than Spring Lee, who's, a decent benchmark sort of grade of horse over the same distance. So I think Within the Law has run out of her skin, mate. She is an absolute line chaser, this filly.
Yep, she's a good filly. We spoke about it on the pod on Wednesday. Like, is the English Millennium form disrespected?
Yes.
Well, I don't think we'll be anymore with Within the Law winning that, and obviously the other race. But yeah, she was great. I thought Bella Zane was brave. Got a feel for friend of the podcast, Sam Shaney, be on the floor after that result.
Like I could not believe that Within the Law got the bob. Like, by all reports, it looked like Bella Zane had got the result there. But winners win. Like, that's the thing. And if you were, I was doing some trumpeting on our stories yesterday. But Within the Law got her at $21 in the slipper. She's now into $11 as equal second favourite. So, rightfully so. I think that's still a good price. Like, surely she'll come in from there when she heads to a slipper.
Well, we've got a pretty clear picture of what the slipper looks like now. Surely, you know what I mean? Like, we know who's going to. We don't know exactly who's going to come up from Melbourne, but we probably know who the top, 4 or 5 are in Victoria who would come up and would be competitive. And then we've probably seen enough exposed 2-year-old form. Like, it's not a standout year, right? And there's not 2 or 3 really, really good ones. There's some that are just slightly better than others, but there has been. There's been ones like Within the Law who've just been racing consistently every single start, and it's like, okay, well, if you're going to bet on something that's probably going to finish in the first 4 and could win, well, Within the Law, it has to be in that conversation. So yeah, $11 is a good price.
It reminds me of Fireburn a bit, just like the horse that is just constantly overrated underrated rather by the market, and it's like you're still getting a price, and then she'll probably bounce out, win the slipper, and then she'll go around as like $1.50 favourite in the subsequent Group 1s.
Project.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that was a good win. And yeah, I think Bella Zane's good too. Like, I think she's a good filly who puts herself up on pace and is tough. And it was unlucky to lose, but and then the boys, the Shagster, the bubble burst a little bit, but I don't know why they try to take a fit.
I think they had reservations because, with all due respect to Shaggy, the Shagster was doing it over 900 and 1,000 and 1,100 metres. So I think they had some reservations over the 1,200. And it's like, well, look, if we're to head towards the slipper, his best chance to do that is probably cuddle him up and hope that, almost like a Lady of Camelot run in the slipper last year. Like, she showed that tactical speed early, but hopefully we can get some, and then hopefully Shaggy could explode. Yep. I think that is overthought sometimes. Let fast horses run fast. Let him break their hearts, because especially given the tempo of this race, like, I don't think it was run at a breakneck speed. Like, they were 6 lengths slower than the fillies. So
no.
I think if you let him go at a high cruising speed, you could get the rest of these horses' wheels spinning.
Absolutely.
So anyway, Shaggy SP $2.40, which was absolutely toxic sort of stuff. But Rivellino, congratulations to you, by the way.
I was putting my bets on at the one time for the day. So I was like, you know how you sort of rattle through and you're like, yep. And because, watching the race, I actually hadn't checked my bets for a long time. And for some reason, I just got it in my head that I was on the Godolphin horse comedy because we were talking about it on the podcast. So I was going through my bet slips and I was like, oh, that's nice. So what a result. But yeah, the English Millennium form.
Well, So I think the reason why the Millennium form is so maligned is because it is restricted grade, right? Like only English horses can compete in it. But in a year where we have been saying, well, you've been leading this conversation, but I've jumped on your coattails. It's a pretty average year for the 2-year-olds. So I think you can trust the horses that are continuing to just go through the grades. So if I was to try and find Rivellino in a Golden Slipper market, that horse is 15-1.
Yeah.
So
That's a bet.
I think so. And you know what I really like about Within the Law is her last 2 runs have been from the car park.
They have been, yeah.
If she draws a gate in the slipper, she doesn't have to be right out the end. She could try and sit a bit closer, unlike Fireburn. But as I've said ad nauseum in the Golden Slipper, they fan out and you can get the lucky run up along the fence. So if she draws a gate, I think there is no way that she will start that big of a price. So I'm on at 21s. I'm happy. The other horse that I got on post the race was Comedy. Mate, he got out to $41 in the slipper. I think that's absolute madness.
Yeah.
You can absolutely forgive him for what happened yesterday. Like, you can guarantee that the slipper is going to be run at a more genuine pace, which will likely suit him because he missed the kick and it just didn't go his way. But in the slipper, I reckon he could improve lengths. I think he's the blowout type of chance. Like, Traffic Warden started $51 in a slipper last year.
Yeah, shit. Yeah. Oh, yeah, complete forgive run. Complete forgive run. I think there's got to be a question mark over the Shagster now.
Oh, they're spelling him.
Oh, are they?
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. I think Rivellino, I think Belzane Within the Law, all those, yeah. And then obviously you've got the form from last week. So, yeah, the picture's becoming clearer. Will I be able to find the winner? Probably not.
Yeah, well, you're a Blue Diamond guy. I'm a Golden Slipper guy.
Yeah, I know which one I'd rather be better in. Yeah. But anyway.
Hey, winners win, mate, especially when you find them at... How much? I swear Devil Knight started like 40-1 last week, I reckon.
There was a 5 there at some point.
Yeah. All right. Now, oh God, these 3-year-old features in Victoria, mate. Where are they at? They are just they are absolute dross.
I don't know where they're at.
Feroce and the Guineas field would have beaten Marble Arch, who's no world beater, by approximately... No, sorry, they would have been beaten by Marble Arch by six and a bit lengths. So it was a bit of a sit and sprint sort of situation.
Oh, it's frustrating because a lot of the horses from the CS Hayes were in that race, and the CS Hayes was running at breakneck speed. So it's just so hard to pick these Group 1 races. Like, the tempo is just... When it gets to the grand final, for whatever reason, the jockeys sort of look at each other and think, no, you set the lead. No, you set the lead. Then no one sets the lead. So, yeah, it didn't give a lot of horses a chance. Well done to Dom Sutton with Feroce. Didn't realise that bloody flies in the ownership group. Craig McRae.
Yeah.
Gee whiz, winners just win. So, yeah, that's a great story. I never would have found him. Like Angel Capital being scratched, just deflated the tyres a little bit. I jumped on Steeples because he was my next pick anyway. So, and he needed a fast pace. I thought he was good considering.
Oh, mate, considering it was all in one prep, I think he's done outstanding. So,
yeah,
I think we overlook that sometimes. It's like bit of
I think so.
Recency bias. It's like, what does history tell you? History tells you it is incredibly difficult for a horse to do all this in one prep. So,
yeah,
which is similar to the 2-year-olds as well.
Yep.
But yeah, Feroce never would have found him. Savage Glee, You mentioned that horse's name on Wednesday.
Yeah, Kiwi horse. Yeah, well, like we said, if you put here to shock in that race, he probably wins it. And he's running within a length or two of him last start, coming across the Dutch. No, he was good. I think that's probably about his level. And I thought the run of the race, and probably everyone else saw it as well, was Gold Rush Guru, the Derby winner, darting home off that sedate pace. Like, will he contest the Derby again, I'm assuming? Like, he's going to be hard to beat from here on in.
Yeah, well, Jamie Mellum after the race, basically, she just couldn't keep the smile off her face. She was like, the Derby winners in previous years, you just never know how they come back, but gee, this guy's gone to another level, and she's like, he can win another 2 or 3 Group 1s. So she's got a massive opinion of him.
No, he was super. And who's he by? Is he American Pharaoh?
Yeah.
Do you have that? Yeah, okay, cool. Well, that's the same sire as Riff Rocket, so we know he's going to, evidently we know he's going to get a trip, but I think from what we saw yesterday with that sprint home, and sometimes they can be a little bit misleading, going forward when you see him rocket home like that off a sedate pace, but we know that he's going to get out over further. So what's next for him? Will he go to a Rosehill Guineas and then an Aussie Derby maybe?
Maybe. Like, yeah, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. Would you even, 3-year-old chuck a, I don't know, when's the All-Star Mile? Is that next weekend?
Yeah, that's next weekend.
Yeah, like maybe they back him up in that.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad shout at all. Another run at the mile. Yeah, not a bad shout at all. What about, who's the last 3-year-old to win a bloody Tancred?
Yeah.
Go the weight for age route. But no, when you got the Derbies there, it sort of makes sense and logical. And I can't remember how many runs he had leading up to the Vic Derby last year, but I felt like he was up for a bit then as well. Like he had a fair few prep runs.
Yeah, let me have a look here. So he was up. He commenced his campaign on the 17th of August, and then he had a second run in September, 3rd, 4th, 5th. So yeah, the Derby was his 6th run at the prep.
Yeah.
So he's proven to have a bit of a tough prep. So as a 3-year-old colt, it's good to see. I think he's a good horse, very good horse. Yeah.
All due respect to Gold Rush Guru. Yeah, that race going forward, like him and Steeples are probably the two that I want to be taking moving forward. But still, all credit to the winner for Roche and the connections and the trainer. You love to see it.
Yeah. I don't think... Sometimes you just got to trust your gut, and when you know that there's a dross sire, you just avoid them like the plague with Blue Point.
You don't trust him.
No. His horses go to absolute shit in grand finals. I've seen it too many times.
They're just weak-gutted dogs.
Yeah,
Blue Points. They just don't have any mental fortitude.
Nah, point and shoot. Massive go on this horse. He started $4.20. That gave me some sort of confidence. But as soon as he missed the jump, in the way that this race was run, he had absolutely no chance. So he made up some decent ground late. I thought he ran fine. So I think I'm still a big fan of the horse. But yeah, benchmark 78 grade up to a Group 1. Probably a bit too much.
Potentially.
But I was clearly not the only one who thought he could run a race here because he started $4.20.
You're not insane. You're not insane. Trust me. But no, yeah, it's just. I feel like the Aussie Guineas is one of those races that is. I think it's guilty of often throwing up a result like this. Like Southport Tycoon wanted a big price last year, and there's plenty of others whilst we've been doing the podcast. But yeah, you just the victim just peels himself off the floor and just keeps going.
Well, speaking of the victim and the Sydney source, Drifters, you're welcome. They are on our payroll, and I think they earned their pay yesterday. So the victim had 4 out of 10. at Flemington, no less. Flemington's a bloody hard gig, like I might
It is.
add. And the Source just tipped half the card, half of it, with 2 other placings, including the Midway. He is an absolute Midway moral at the moment.
Midway moral of the Source. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
So
actually
look, that's
unbelievable.
so call that 50% strike rate yesterday for the Source and the Victim. Don't know how the Source went last week, but I think it was 6 or 7 out of 10 for the Victim. So if we're striking at 50% for the rest of the carnival,
Come on.
who you talking to?
What do you actually? What else do you want? Like, we're the podcast that just keeps on giving. You know what I mean?
This is free service, by the way. This is free service, by the way.
Yeah. We might have to set up a Patreon or something to actually get.
We might have to.
Yeah. Now I know you have to jet off very soon, so let's just have a look here. Lockie Winks within the law. How many lengths in the slipper? Mate, if she draws a gate, I reckon she'll be right in the finish. That's for sure. Josh,
You want to start $11? Put it that way. Put it that way, boys.
Josh Buttonshaw, is J-Mac your Roman Empire? I think J-Mac had another 4 winners yesterday, just doing J-Mac stuff.
Yeah, he's on my mind a lot. I'm not going to lie. He's so good, mate. And I actually think he's underrated because he gets his horses home where you probably don't realise how good of a rider actually was. And Via Sistani yesterday was a perfect example.
Yeah. Okay. Now here we go. I put a bet up on my profiles yesterday for next week because I actually had a look at the weather forecast during the week in Sydney, and I think we're going to get a pretty wet track. So the Randwick Guineas next weekend, broadsiding was at $2.20, so I jumped all over that. He's now at $1.80.
Oh, God.
And I parlayed that into, in the new market, I think Godolphin's going to get a Group 1 double. So I backed him in with Traffic Warden at $8. So got about 20 to 1 for that one. What are your thoughts on that little play?
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. Geez, broadsiding, you're smart to get the better than even money. Because obviously a lot of other people started looking at the weather next weekend and jumped on. He's going to be incredibly hard to beat, broadsiding. And then in the new market, look, I've got a ticket for Skybird at 50, so I think that'll do me.
Yeah, she's at 14 to 1, so great shopping there. The other Group 1 is the Canterbury Stakes as well. Switzerland, the $3 favourite, with Magic Time at $5. She can swim. With Steffi Magnetica, who I think can get through the slop as well. Hit a Shock at $9. I think he's got some wet form too. So, yeah, probably not a market I'm that interested in. And then the All-Star Mile's just going to be dominated by Mr. B.
I think so. It's literally that simple. But, yeah, I'll be at HQ next week. God. Just keeps rolling, doesn't it?
I should have.
Something to look forward to.
I should have chucked Tommy Kitten into my Godolphin Group 1, like little parlay there. Tommy Kitten could win the All-Star Mile.
He really could for the brothers.
Yeah.
I actually didn't even have an eye for Golden Mile yesterday. How did he go?
Oh, that's a good question. First run in, 9 months or so?
Yep.
Let's have a look here. Golden Mile. Golden Balls himself. He ran second last, beating 3.5 lengths.
He was fat as a buck.
Yeah.
He was enormous in the yard.
Yeah.
Bro's got plenty of conditioning to come.
Yeah. Like he started $11, which, yeah. Not all $11 pops are the same. Like, yeah. Old Golden Balls. But yeah, Lady Shenandoah and the Surround Stakes fillies and the 2-year-old fillies were my highlights yesterday. I think they were on raw times and figures. They were the most impressive.
Yeah. I was really taken by all those fillies in the Surround Stakes. So it was definitely a highlight. Yeah, Newmarket Handicap, one of the great races on the calendar next week. Cannot wait.
Yeah. Considering you're you do have login details to the Instagram, next weekend, could you actually post some content from the racetrack?
Yes, I can. Absolutely. Look, Randwick surprisingly yesterday was pretty quiet. So look, I'm gonna put a call out. I'm gonna put a call out to the Victorians and say, can you support your local racetrack a bit better and get out there and watch the horses go around. I was very disappointed in the crowd yesterday at Randwick.
Okay, all right. Especially because you have the best horse going around in Australia, Dear Sistina. So
absolutely,
and you've got a fan favourite in Fangirl. You've got some 2-year-olds running. Disappointing sort of stuff.
Golden Balls.
Yeah, Golden Balls himself, one of the triplets. So that gets the people moving. But anyway, alrighty, mate. Well, I'll let you go. But pack up your hotel room and pack your bag, and I wish you a safe flight.
Thank you, mate. Onwards and upwards.
Yeah, well said. But we'll be back in your ears on Wednesday, Drifters. But until then, we'll see you later.
See you, Drifters.